A few hours ago, the reputable American magazine, The National Interest, published an article in which military experts and analysts of this magazine bluntly stated that the war in Ukraine was over, and that Russia had emerged as the absolute winner in this war. Furthermore, the experts from this American magazine acknowledged that the Russian army defeated not just Ukraine, but also the North Atlantic Alliance. According to them, Ukraine would not have lasted even a month if NATO countries, including the United States, had not provided Kyiv with unprecedented financial and military assistance. And despite this, Kyiv and the North Atlantic Alliance never managed to inflict a strategic defeat on Moscow. Although Donald Trump has not officially announced this, the Russo-Ukrainian war is over. The main losers in this war are Ukraine and NATO. Undoubtedly, the whole world will perceive Russia as the main winner in this conflict. Given the fact that Ukraine wouldn't have lasted on the battlefield for even a month without the military support from the United States and other NATO countries, it would be naive to believe that Kyiv would get a place at the negotiating table. Ukraine, as the losing side, can only accept the conditions of the winner. And despite all the objections and discontent of Ukraine, the Kyiv authorities will have to accept all the conditions of the winner in the face of Russia, the American experts said. The fact that Ukraine's defeat in the current conflict is also a NATO's defeat has also been recognized by many European politicians. According to them, the current Munich conference has become a vivid example of the fact that February 2025 marked the beginning of the end of not only the North Atlantic Alliance, but also the European Union. This fact was especially evident after the shocking speech by US Vice President James David Vance, where he not only criticized European democracy, but actually declared war on European globalists. This speech by the US Vice President has already been compared to Putin's speech at the Munich conference in 2007. Back then, during his speech, Vladimir Putin called on the globalists to stop before it's too late, and for the sake of ensuring world peace and stability, adopt the concept of a multipolar world, based on justice and law. However, back then, the globalists did not listen to Putin. As a result, the world got a war in Georgia, Ukraine, and it devastated Europe. What will happen this time? Whether globalists listen to the US Vice President's words, only time will tell. In any case, no matter what anyone says, it seems that Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin are creating some kind of alliance in their common struggle against the globalists, who have ruled this planet for decades under the infamous policy of divide and rule. Against this backdrop, Europe, which has become a faithful representative of the global liberal globalist network, is seriously preparing for a protracted confrontation not only against Vladimir Putin, but also against Donald Trump. In this regard, globalists have begun to gather numerous summits to develop a plan of action in the current situation. One such summit was held on Monday in Paris, where European countries, including Britain, were trying to figure out exactly how they should act against Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin. Meanwhile, on February 17, a number of European and American think tanks stated that Ukraine and Europe were hoping in vain that Russia would make some concessions during the upcoming negotiations. According to them, the numerous victories of the Russian army on the battlefield and the possession of the initiative in all key directions of the front give Moscow quite powerful levers of pressure on both Kyiv and the West. Experts from these European and American think tanks expressed confidence that during the negotiation process, Russia will not only make even minor concessions, but may even put forward new demands, in order to further humiliate the Kyiv authorities. By the way, the preparation of the negotiation process is in full swing. Furthermore, Russia and the United States have even begun to prepare a platform for a meeting of Vladimir Putin with Donald Trump. In particular, a few hours ago, Russian presidential spokesman Dmitry Peskov officially announced that Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov and Russian presidential aide Yuri Ushakov would meet with representatives of the U.S. administration in Saudi Arabia on February 18. According to him, during this meeting, the parties will discuss the restoration of relations between the two countries, the resolution of the conflict in Ukraine, as well as the organization of a meeting between Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin. It is reported that the meeting of the two presidents may take place in late February in Saudi Arabia. Against this backdrop, the head of the Kiev regime, Volodymyr Zelensky, in order to save his worthless life, began begging Donald Trump's friends to help him improve his relationship with the US president. For this political clown flew to the United Arab Emirates and met with President Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, who has a very warm and trusting relationship with Donald Trump. However, unfortunately for Zelensky, Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan refused to put pressure on Donald Trump. Instead, Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan severely humiliated the head of the Kiev regime. In particular, he accommodated Zelensky and his wife in the four-star Moscow hotel in the center of Abu Dhabi. It became quite symbolic, especially considering the fact that this clown received a crushing defeat from Moscow. On February 18, humiliated and insulted, Zelensky flew to Turkey. This clown hopes that at least Recep Erdogan will be able to convince Donald Trump to change his attitude towards the head of the Kiev regime. Commenting on Volodymyr Zelensky's humiliating attempts to save his own skin, authoritative political analyst Sergei Markov said that this is the beginning of the end of the head of the Kiev regime. According to him, no one will help Zelensky anymore, and that his days are numbered. Meanwhile, Russia has already begun to behave like the winner of the current conflict. Russia's permanent representative to the United Nations, Vasily Nebenzia, officially stated that Moscow would not allow EU countries and Britain to participate in the negotiation process on Ukraine. According to him, the criminal Russophobic policies of these Western countries have led to the fact that they have completely lost the ability to conduct a dialogue and negotiate. The Russian diplomat also recalled that it was the EU countries that gave guarantees for the implementation of the Minsk agreements. However, instead of fulfilling the agreements, they blatantly lied and continued to arm Ukraine. Furthermore, Vasily Nebenzia also warned Britain and Europe that if their puppet Volodymyr Zelensky tries to disrupt the negotiation process, Ukraine will lose even more territories, and that in this case, Russia's terms will become much tougher.